Okay, very
It's
good.
really great to see you.
Great to see you too. Yes,
It's been a long time. You look fantastic.
thank you, and you too. Yeah, this is great. It's such great memories of all the listen and be heard experiences live in San Rafael, Vallejo, all that area.
Yeah, it was, I guess we were in a few spots before we actually opened the cafe, and,
Right, that's right, in Oakland too. Yeah. So
so it
yeah,
wasn't actually, San Rafael, it was a club called Raphael's, which
Raphael's.
was
That's right.
also in Vallejo
Right.
and had the most
Right.
amazingly painted walls of any cafe I've ever been in
Was a
my
great
life.
spot. It was just a wonderful place, and your events were great. Yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that,
Yeah.
Wendy Loomis, and I'd like to welcome you to the audio garden here on the Listen and Be Heard Hour for readers and writers and spoken word artists, of
Thank
course.
you. Thank
And
you.
you're and I've invited you here because of your history with Royal Kent and
Mhm.
a thing that you called Copus. Maybe you could start by just telling our audience a little bit about Copus.
Okay. Royal and I met in the Lower Haight area of San Francisco at an open mic. I was playing this avant-garde piano piece with a cello player, and he'd done some spoken word, and he approached me and he said, "We need to work together." Um, and so we did. uh, so I started writing music around his lyrics, his poetics, and then gradually we added a lot of band members, various different instrumentations that have passed through the band. So that started in the late 90s. So we put out 25 years of material live and recorded and toured and did all those great things. And um, so Copus has a couple different meanings. One meaning was that Royal dreamt the word, like we'd already knew the word, so it already existed in his mind. And then I love acronyms, so I came up with Creation of Peace Under Stars for COPUS. Um, and then also opus means a work of great literary or musical magnitude. And C was for New Century because we were moving from the 1990s, late 1990s into 2000. And so it became century work.
Interesting, yes, and that's, when we intersected in the Bay Area, and,
Exactly.
I also became familiar with Copus and
Hmm.
heard you perform, more than once, as you were
Yes.
saying.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
but so Royal passed recently.
He did. He did. He passed in October, which was incredibly sad. He had a congenital heart issue from his childhood, which had not been diagnosed. And so, yeah, that was very difficult. But what he left me, which I knew he was going to do, was all of his handwritten journals, which are unbelievable. A lot of
Mm.
it, of course, has been recorded and performed. But what I did, in a way to kind of get through it emotionally is I went through and I typed all of everything. And then I took everything that had not been published yet or recorded yet and divided it into themes. And at first I was going to do a book, and then my brother said to me, "Oh no, Royal's not book. Royal is performing guy." So which is correct. So what I did instead was divided it into 6 different themes, and then I selected 6 guest poets. So each person would read one section and record that, and then I wrote piano around it. So it's a tribute album. It's coming out next week. And it was really fun to hear different voices reading Royal's material. I didn't edit anything, so he might be mad that I that I recorded things. Sorry, Royal, that were may not have been complete, but I sectioned them into thematic groupings so that they would flow. Yeah,
So the name of this CD is called The Assignment, a
the
tribute
assignment.
to
Hmm.
poet Royal Kent. And
exactly.
I wanted you to talk a little bit about the poets that you selected. You have Jenny Lim among them, who has been a guest on this show and is the
Yes,
current poet laureate of San Francisco.
she is.
So what section did she do?
She did lunacy. Now I did, I picked six. I like letters and things that go together. So I had six words beginning with L. So it was legend, life, light, love, lunacy, and liberation.
Uh-huh.
Um, so what I did is I picked people and I tried to link them up. Not to say that Jenny, not saying that she's a lunatic, but she will tackle hard subjects, political subjects. She's not afraid. So I
Yes.
figured she could take the hard stuff and deal with it.
That's what
So
we know and love Jenny Lim
yeah,
for.
exactly. So she was a perfect choice for it, and she did it beautifully. Legend I put with Clara Sue. Do you know Clara from the
I
Clarion
think
Music?
I think she probably came through Listen and Be Heard at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure she did. So she runs Clarion Performing Arts, which is where we're going to have the release party. The interesting thing
Which
about
is in
Clara,
Chinatown in
it's
San
in
Francisco.
Chinatown,
Mhm.
exactly. Um, and Clara had run. It used to be a store that sold instruments from around the world, and she would travel and collect them. Now it's a performing space and a school. But when early days of Copus, we did a show there, and Clara had written some poetry, but she'd never performed it. Now Royal was a producer at heart. He said, "Come on, Clara, get up, you." And so he pushed her to perform. And he said, "You need to wear a hat and put a beret on her." And now she does poetry all the time. She's so outward. And so she was very appreciative of Royal's nudgings, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's Clara and
Claire,
Jenny Lim,
Jenny.
and
Uh,
so let's hear the rest of these
Uh,
pairings.
okay, so Life is Daniel Yargan, and he did the um, sparring with beatnik ghosts series for a long time. He's sometimes in Santa Cruz, LA area. We've done a lot of shows with him. He's put out many books. So he did Life. Richard Loringer did Love. I picked him for Love, the Sweetheart. And he's also done many publications. It was actually hard just to narrow it down because there's so many great poets around. Um, is that ever? And then I wanted to do one. I did Light because I wanted to do one that I spoke for Royal. I think that covers, is that all six? Oh no, McTate Stroman the second. He is from San Jose area. Now I never met him. I wanted to do three males and three females, and so I needed another male, strong. So I contacted the poetess Kalamu, and she recommended him. I didn't know him, but I saw
Uh-huh.
his work online, very, very strong. So he did Liberation.
So you're a pianist and composer, and
Yes.
you say you met Royal Kent while performing
Yeah.
avant-garde
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
How has all this spoken word affected you personally
Well,
as a
that's a really good
musician?
question. Yeah, it was really fun to write around Royal's words because he had an inherent rhythm to his structure. It wasn't like rap and people tried to make him go that way and he refused to go that way because it's more philosophical and longer phrases, but there was an internal rhythm. So I usually, when I'd hear the poem, I'd take the rhythm first and feel and then the mood, what was the general mood of what he was saying, and then the composition would start to flow from there. Um, so what it also has led me to do is write lyrics now. So
Uh-huh.
I'm writing songs. I'm working with a vocalist. I'm written a lot of songs. Um, so the words are more esoteric than the normal pop song. So I'm writing kind of art songs. So I think all that word just prompt me to take, okay, well, you write music, why not write the lyrics too? And so that's been a huge influence from Royal, is getting into lyric writing.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so you mentioned next week, I want to tell people about the actual event that's happening. Well, the CD is coming out and available. And
Right.
so, how can people just get the CD or find out more about it?
Okay. If you go to the Copus website, which is Copus Music, all one word, COPUS music.com, you can, everything is there. If you go to the merch page, that's the most direct. You can either buy the CD or you can buy the CD with the party combination. So whichever you want to do.
Okay. And the party, as you mentioned, is taking place at the Clarion, which is in Chinatown in San Francisco. And when is that happening and what time?
So it's Saturday, June 14th, which is a very momentous day, as we all know, at 7 p.m. California time. So there will be we're gonna all the poets will be performing. So we're gonna do the whole CD live, and then there will be footage playing on the screen of 25 years of Copus performances. So there's going to be a whole history happening there. And
Oh,
then there'll be
wow.
an,
Are any of those that listen and be heard?
I couldn't find video from there. I mean,
Oh,
unless you have
really?
something. Yeah, send me
I
if you have
I
anything.
don't know. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if I do. I would have to
I know.
really think.
I know. It was like I had to go back and like pull stuff like more contemporary. I have a lot of, but early days I only have certain things.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, but I'll see if I can find. And then we're gonna do it. There'll be a short open mic at the end. So if there are any poets in the Bay
Oh,
Area or someone wants to do a song, we're gonna do an open mic at the end.
okay. Well, thank you for all of that,
Yes.
Wendy. And I'd like to ask you a few questions that I ask all my guests on Listen and Be
Okay.
Heard. The first is if you don't mind improvising on the phrase "listen and be heard," just give me what you got.
Can I do it musically?
You certainly may.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
And, we're a show for readers and writers, and I like to ask people what's going on, where they are around banning books and just how you feel about that whole
Oh
subject.
yeah. Yeah. Um, I I grew up with a mother, well, mother and father, but my mother was the real one who influenced as far as all the philosophy in the house. And I remember getting my first library card when I was 4, and going to the library with my mother, and the librarian always had books under the counter that were for my mom because she needed to have the latest thing that was on the New York Times. She read everything on the New York Times bestseller list. We went to New York a lot. I grew up in Massachusetts, and we go to New York a lot and see bizarre show. She liked weird, cool stuff, which I loved. Um, so that was my beginning, and so I have always been. Creativity needs to be completely wide open, and artists need to be able to say all things. And when you start shutting down people's creativity and freedom, you got a real problem, which we have a real problem right now. So any way that we can resist that is good, is powerful. Yeah.
Thank you for that, and
Yeah.
there's just one other thing, which is we the people. What do you have to say about we the people?
We the people, the 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 sect of us, the group of us who are still resisting and fighting and exploring and expressing and not afraid to tackle the big issues. We are the people. and there will be resistance, as there always is resistance. But it's even more crucial now than ever, and to not lose heart and to not fall into the negativity, because that's easy to do too, and to get cynical, keeping an open heart and still moving forward and still fighting the good fight.
Thank you so much, Wendy Loomis
Yep.
from Copus, appearing on June 14th in San Francisco, and more information can be found at copusmusic.com. Thank you so
Beautiful.
much for joining me in the audio garden.
Thank you so much. This is a real pleasure to see you. Yeah.